Beneath the familiar rhythm of our solar system, some astronomers and historians still search for whispers of an unseen world, a massive planet said to linger far beyond Neptune, hidden in the darkness of the outer edge. Ancient writings, older than the Hebrew Bible, tell of such a wandering world, a colossal sphere nearly 3 times the size of Earth, moving in a long, oval-shaped path that circles back toward the inner planets roughly once every 3,600 years. To modern researchers, it is sometimes called Planet X. To the ancient Sumerians, it was Nibiru. Whether Nibiru truly exists remains uncertain. Modern telescopes have yet to confirm it, though a few scientists have proposed the possibility of a 9th planet influencing distant orbits in the Kuiper Belt. Yet long before these modern hypotheses, ancient civilizations described a similar body traveling on a vast celestial circuit. To them, this mysterious planet was no myth, but a home world, inhabited by towering beings known as the Anunnaki. According to Sumerian tablets written more than 4,000 years ago, these visitors descended from Nibiru using advanced craft, bringing knowledge that reshaped the destiny of early humanity. The texts portray them as humanoid in form, yet strikingly different. Beings of great height and radiant presence, some said to stand between 8 and 32 feet tall. Certain carvings even depict them with elongated skulls, 6 fingers, and faces so symmetrical they appear almost sculpted by geometry itself. Scholars interpret these details in many ways, some as symbolic art, others as memories of real encounters now woven into myth. In the stories, not all Anunnaki shared the same nature. Some served a divine purpose, helping shape life on Earth in harmony with a higher cosmic order. Others, more ambitious, sought the planet's minerals, especially gold, valued for its rarity and luster. Using genetic knowledge far beyond human understanding, they supposedly engineered early humans as laborers to work the mines. If Nibiru were truly a larger world, with stronger gravity and denser air, its inhabitants might indeed have evolved sturdier bodies to endure their environment, an idea consistent with what modern biology predicts about life on massive planets. The most detailed records place the arrival of the Anunnaki roughly 445,000 years ago, about 120 Shahs before the Great Flood, each Shah equal to 3,600 Earth years. Their journey, as the tablets describe, began with orbital passes around the Sun and the creation of floating stations for study and navigation. Among these travelers, one name stands out: Enki. Enki is portrayed as a scientist, a builder, and a teacher. In the myths, he steps ashore on a water-covered land near the Persian Gulf and establishes Eridu, called the house built in the distance, the first city of humankind. Ancient hymns remember him as half man, half fish, a symbol of knowledge emerging from the sea. During early ceremonies, offerings of fish were made in his honor. Yet, despite his hybrid depictions, the texts insist that Enki and his kin were physical beings. They ate, drank, slept, loved, and bore children. They were mortal in their own way, long-lived, but not eternal. In those distant ages, the Anunnaki did not remain aloof. They walked among the people they had guided, sharing laws, rituals, and warnings. Akkadian inscriptions preserve their counsel. Pray daily. Bring offerings with sincerity. Approach with humility, and your voice will be heard. Whether these were divine commandments or lessons from advanced visitors, their message carried through time. Perhaps the myths of Nibiru and its celestial travelers are not mere fantasy, but echoes of humankind's earliest attempt to explain the unknown skies. Between stone, story, and star, something endures. A memory of contact, a caution, or a dream written across the heavens. And as new telescopes peer deeper into the darkness, the question remains unspoken, yet persistent. What if those ancient stories were fragments of truth, waiting for the stars to align once more? In the chronicles of humanity's earliest dawn, stories of gods, stars, and machines shimmer like fragments of a forgotten age. Under the guidance of the ancient deity Enki, humanity learned the foundations of civilization. Irrigation canals cut into the earth, rivers redirected, and fields transformed into living green. He even taught them to cultivate fish, introducing carp as a steady source of food, a gift of nourishment from the waters themselves. Far to the east, in the sacred verses of India's Vedas, another kind of wonder takes flight. The texts speak of radiant sky chariots called vimanas, machines of light that raced through the heavens, pulled by invisible steeds with eyes that glowed like molten gold. Some tales describe them diving beneath the ocean's surface, vanishing into the deep before soaring skyward again. The twin gods, known as the Ashvins, healers and protectors, are said to have piloted these vessels like falcons across the horizon. Their golden crafts possessed multiple decks, intricate seats, and wheels that adjusted speed and direction with precision. One hymn of the Rig Veda recounts how the Ashvins rescued sailors from a stormy sea using flying boats that shone like the dawn. Centuries later, a Sanskrit manuscript called the Vaimanika Shastra, compiled around the 4th century BCE from far older sources, described the engineering behind these skycraft in remarkable detail. It claimed that vimanas could rotate on their axis, change shape and size, glow with radiant light, and move in sudden zigzags, an image strangely reminiscent of modern aerial phenomena. Their structure was said to rely on 16 heat-resistant metals, light yet durable enough to endure the heavens. The storm god Indra commanded his own sky chariot, armed with thunderous weapons. When defeated in battle by the divine craftsman Tvashtar and the serpent-like being Vritra, Indra returned alongside the storm spirits, known as the Maruts, whose roaring vehicles filled the air with lightning. With iron weapons, they reclaimed victory, a tale that merges mythology with echoes of an age when the sky itself seemed alive with fire and sound. Thousands of miles west, in ancient Mesopotamia, metallurgy rose as the heartbeat of civilization. The city of Bad Tibira, its name meaning metal-working center, was overseen by Ninurta, the son of Enlil. Here, ores from faraway lands were refined into shining bars of gold, said to be sent to orbiting stations operated by the Igigi, the celestial couriers of the Anunnaki. These legends speak of shipments from a region called Arali, the land of shining veins, thought by some to refer to the mineral-rich territories of southern Africa or possibly South America. The Abzu, another sacred name, denoted a deep, resource-laden realm, perhaps the cradle of these early mines. Archaeological discoveries in the 1970s uncovered ancient gold workings in South Africa's Swaziland region. Tools and human remains there were dated between 20,000 and over 100,000 years old. Later studies in 1988 suggested organized mining activity as early as 115,000 years ago. Across the ocean, in Mesoamerica, civilizations such as the Olmecs, Toltecs, Aztecs, and Incas continued this legacy of metal mastery. To the Aztecs and Incas, gold was divine essence, Teoquitlatl, the sweat of the gods. When the Spanish arrived, these empires offered gold freely, believing they were returning it to celestial visitors. The Maya, though they did not use gold as currency, crafted intricate ornaments and sacred objects from gold, silver, turquoise, and platinum, rivaling the craftsmanship of Egypt's artisans. In South America and China, the rise of Tiwanaku and Sangsingdui marked two centers of advanced bronze technology. Tiwanaku itself rests above the world's largest tin deposit, its location suggesting that metal production was not coincidence, but the foundation of its birth. Among all these legends, one story stands apart: the tale of Adapa, remembered as the first true Homo sapiens sapiens, and the secret son of Enki. According to Sumerian tablets, Adapa was taken from Earth to Nibiru, the home world of the gods. When he arrived, the Anunnaki stood in awe. He spoke their language, understood their customs, and even refused their divine food and drink, proving he was something unique, born for a higher purpose. His meeting with the great Anu, king of the heavens, is recorded not as fable, but as sacred history, a story of the first human to stand among the stars. These ancient accounts describe Nibiru as a world in peril. Its long orbit carries it far from its sun for millennia, plunging it into freezing isolation. As its atmosphere decayed, the planet suffered violent climate shifts, radiation storms, and a collapse of the resonance that once sustained its biosphere. The Nibiruans, long-lived and wise, began to weaken. Their lifespans shortened, their skin darkened or lost pigment, and their spirit dimmed beneath temples once filled with light. To this day, mainstream science has not confirmed the existence of Nibiru. Some modern researchers view it as myth. Others see it as symbolic memory of cosmic events now forgotten. But in every culture, from the deserts of Sumer to the mountains of the Andes, there remains a quiet echo that the heavens once opened, and something from beyond stepped through. Across the deep record of cosmic mythology, few worlds have provoked as much fascination as Nibiru, a name that drifts between astronomy, legend, and metaphysical lore. According to ancient cosmological texts and esoteric traditions, Nibiru once stood as a radiant 12th dimensional gateway world, bridging matter and spirit. In that mythic age, it was said to resonate with what mystics call the nirvanic avatar mind, a vast field of collective consciousness guiding higher forms of life throughout the galaxy. This luminous sphere was associated with a golden-skinned priestly order known as the Melchizedek, stewards of wisdom and harmony. But the stories also speak of disruption, of a rebellion that reshaped the structure of the heavens. Nibiru's perfection fractured when power struggles among advanced races escalated into open conflict. Over the eons, the planet's destiny twisted. What had once been a temple world of balance became an engineered citadel of war. In these accounts, half of Nibiru's later history falls under the rule of a draconian faction called the Chayaka, a reptilian empire whose dominion stretched across what the texts call an Afric-Asiatic realm of influence. Beneath this hierarchy operated the Anak Empire, a suborder aligned with the Elohim, often described as originating from the distant Lyran systems. Together, they forged a structure of control over the once sovereign Anunnaki world. Some traditions claim that the term Nibiru eventually came to denote not just a planet, but an immense artificial star vessel, a planet-sized construct built upon the remains of a shattered world named Maldek. The fragments of that destroyed sphere were fused into a hybrid entity known as the Nibiru architecture, a ghostly planet ship said to orbit in opposition to the true Nibiru. In this interpretation, it functions as a wormhole node, a kind of interdimensional hub connecting alternate layers of space, sometimes referred to as the phantom matrix. Such ideas belong to metaphysical cosmology rather than observational science, yet they persist in modern myth as echoes of a forgotten technological age. Following what these legends call the cosmic rebellion, splinter groups of the fallen Anunnaki divided into Pleiadian, Draconian, and Gray factions. Each pursued its own agenda, while remaining bound to a corrupted Nibiruan command. Hidden within these stories is a recurring theme, a secret interference with Earth itself. It is said that these factions embedded exotic energy devices deep within the planet's geomagnetic grid. Technology capable of reversing the natural harmonic flow of energy through the Earth. In symbolic language, this reversal network disrupted the balance of the planet's energetic architecture, causing the very pattern of life to densify. The mythology continues. When these fields turned backward, the subtle energetic structures within living beings, likened to spinning light wheels or Merkaba fields, also reversed. This was interpreted as the source of imbalance within the human genetic template, a metaphoric explanation for the rise of physical and psychological disharmony. While no physical evidence supports such claims, they remain integral to ancient and modern spiritual cosmologies that attempt to describe the fall of harmony on Earth. The celestial chain reaction extended beyond one world. The planet Chiron, described as the 11th dimensional stargate, connecting to compassion and intuitive wisdom, was displaced from its natural position and forced into orbit between Uranus and Saturn. Pluto, once the 10th dimensional gate of unity and unconditional love, became entangled with the energy of Tiamat, a vast aquatic world existing in another vibrational layer of the universe. With these distortions, the entire solar lattice was said to destabilize. Nibiru, as its highest anchor, lost alignment. Its atmosphere deteriorated, its crystalline energy fields fractured, and the civilization of its Atlantean-like inhabitants entered decline. Across the ancient world, from Sumer to Israel, the return of Nibiru became synonymous with cycles of renewal and catastrophe. Some cultures expected floods and upheavals. Others foresaw new eras of fertility and peace. Even the book of Isaiah and the visions of Amos echo the same rhythm. Celestial disturbance followed by restoration, destruction preceding rebirth. Whether literal or symbolic, both Mesopotamian and biblical writings may reflect humanity's attempt to describe recurring cosmic transformations. In these esoteric traditions, the Nibiruans are portrayed as advanced yet imperfect, masters of engineering, but dependent on reverse-engineered technology inherited from still older races such as the Patal and Elohim. Their knowledge allowed replication, not true creation. Genetic experiments on early humans, Homo erectus, Neanderthals, and other hominins, were said to yield unstable results, beings of great strength, but fragile spirit. Some legends turn these failures into the origin stories of giants, hybrids, and mythic creatures carved into our oldest stones. Eventually, higher cosmic overseers, the Lyrans and Syrians, are said to have intervened, urging balance and restraint. For countless Shahs, the ancient measure of 3,600 years, Nibiru shone once more as a realm of low gravity and gentle harmonics, where sound shaped matter and intention molded form. Whether myth or metaphor, these tales remind us of a universal longing that somewhere beyond the rim of the known sky, a once sacred world still seeks its way back to harmony. In the mythology of the stars, the civilization of Nibiru is said to operate through resonance. For them, sound is not just music. It is technology. Every tone carries purpose. To open stargates, power crystalline engines, and access memories encoded within living worlds. Their science of harmony once allowed them to tune into the consciousness of planets themselves. When the Nibiruans first came to Earth, they brought the echo of that golden world with them. Yet this planet was far from a paradise. Earth's heavier gravity and thicker atmosphere forced their luminous bodies into painful recalibration. They could breathe the air, but every heartbeat pressed against density they had never known. Among the first to face the challenge was Princess Ninhursag, chief physician of Nibiru and one of its most gifted bioalchemists. Leading the first female delegation, she studied Earth's flora with precise curiosity. In roots and herbs, she found allies, molecules that could help her people adapt. Her mixtures stabilized blood pressure, balanced equilibrium, reduced cellular stress, and eased the shock of gravity. Through her work, Nibiruans began to endure Earth's conditions more easily. Then something unexpected happened. As the days passed, these visitors started to change. Their minds sharpened, telepathic clarity deepened, wounds closed faster, and strength multiplied. It was as though the planet itself awakened new abilities within them. Earth was not resisting them. It was evolving them. But the gift carried a cost. On this world, time flowed differently. The Nibiruans aged faster, their radiant lifespans shortened by radiation, pressure, and the coarse vibration of terrestrial matter. Their flesh endured, but not indefinitely. They realized that their time here would always be limited, a race against entropy itself. What they did not perceive was that Earth's native life had already been influenced by forces far older and subtler. Other intelligences, operating from what mystics describe as higher dimensional planes, had long shaped the planet's genetic field. Unaware of these deeper layers, the Nibiruans began merging their own engineered codes with Earth's existing DNA. The result was a new lineage, hybrid humans, attuned to gravity, yet bearing within them the memory of the stars. Ancient traditions later called these roots the Asiatic and Africanic branches of early Homo sapiens, bridges between cosmic resonance and earthly clay. While Earth became their proving ground, Nibiru remained a world alive with diversity. Legends tell of 17 continents, each a realm of distinct vibration and color. Travelers from distant constellations journeyed there, not all native, yet all drawn by an ancient call. The first were the native Nibiruans, nomads born of fire and mane, carrying both Lyran heritage and draconian strength. Cast out by interstellar wars, they arrived scarred but determined, seeking renewal among Nibiru's emerald valleys. They called themselves Atlanteans, the forged people, souls tempered by struggle. Soon, others followed. Pleiadian wanderers, descendants of old Lyra, came guided by dreams of reunion. The Zionites, complex hybrids of human, gray, and mantis origins, arrived as quiet observers devoted to neural exploration. From the star of Sirius, sages of the Tal and Adari lineages descended, cloaked in blue robes marked with sigils of light, carrying texts that spoke of the universal law of unity. Andromedan seers came next, known for their tranquil insight and maps drawn in geometric emotion rather than ink. Even the Chikar Draconians, once feared conquerors, sought asylum, drawn to a realm where a draconian queen ruled beside a Lyran king in fragile peace. From this convergence, Nibiru transformed. Tribes interwove, languages blended, and memory fused with innovation. A civilization arose that felt at once ancient and futuristic. A medieval space age where temples were powered by crystalline engines and scholars studied both spirit and particle. Under the guidance of Syrian Lyran monarchs, the people began to see themselves not as refugees, but as a united race, the Nibiruan Atlanteans. Physically, they embodied their mixed heritage. Most were tall and strongly built, their skin tones ranging from deep bronze to pale gold. Some bore luminous tans that mirrored Earth's own peoples, a reflection of the ancient genetic bridges they had forged. Their skulls elongated slightly at the crown, hair thick and radiant, skin smooth like polished stone. To encounter them, according to the old epics, was to stand before the living memory of two worlds, the star-born and the terrestrial, joined in one enduring harmony of form and sound. Across the legends of the galaxy, the people of Nibiru stand apart, neither fully human nor wholly alien, but something balanced between. Over the ages, their appearance has drifted closer to humankind, though faint traces of their distant origins remain. The subtle tilt of feline eyes, the scaled undertone of draconian ancestry, the poise of an ancient hybrid race. All Nibiruans trace their lineage to the Anunnaki, the blue-skinned progenitors known in the oldest myths as the royal blood of An, the first teachers of harmony and law. From their mountain cities, the Anunnaki shaped what would become the foundation of Nibiruan civilization. Their influence endures not only in blood, but in the unbroken resonance of language, culture, and science, fused into a single planetary identity. At the center of that unity lies their living language, Ekirita, the speech of the mountain house. It is not simply spoken, it is sung. Every word carries a frequency that shapes matter and light. To the Nibiruans, communication itself is creation. Maps are not drawn with ink, but sung into stone through spiraling tones. Their libraries are vast resonance chambers where knowledge exists as vibration, waiting to be awakened by the correct harmonic phrase. Information lives not on pages, but in the air, the light, and the breath of those who remember. Even their architecture follows linguistic law. Through a process called frequency weaving, sonic resonance combines with fields of microscopic exodust, particles aligned into structure by sound. Homes, towers, and citadels rise organically from living crystal lattices, expanding or contracting in response to emotion and planetary rhythm. A structure on Nibiru is not built, it grows, singing softly to its inhabitants, filtering discord, harmonizing with thought. Despite this organic wonder, their civilization is not chaotic. Nibiru operates through order. Its governments, councils, and laws woven with the same precision as their songs. Their infrastructure rivals anything in known galactic history. Regulated taxation, planetary transport grids, and interstellar legal accords. Medicine on Nibiru is famed across the stars. Their physicians practice frequency surgery, a discipline that uses tonal energy to repair cells, and memory imprint therapy to restore lost consciousness. DNA itself becomes their living scripture. Nibiru's people are not one race, but many. Distinct cultures and traditions flourish across its continents, yet all are bound by the law of resonance, the shared covenant of planetary kinship. To safeguard this unity, 3 great military orders serve the realm. The first, the Aeon Guard, forms the shield of the world. Soldiers clad in armor, woven from photonic threads and alien alloys, wield frequency-charged blades that hum with light. Their duty is to protect the harmonic grid and the royal enclaves of the High House. The second order, known as the Sons and Daughters of the Inner Eye, serve as the planet's intelligence division. From childhood, they are trained to perceive emotion as color, to read the fluctuations of thought before conflict takes shape. Their minds patrol the invisible currents of consciousness, intercepting hostility before it becomes form. They are the unseen watchers, the silent shield. The third, the Ekarati adepts, or voices of the mountain, maintain the planetary communication networks. These engineers of sound oversee the resonance relays linking city, temple, and interdimensional gate, ensuring the symphony of civilization never falters. Above all, 3 orders presides the High Council of Illura, a circle of seers and philosophers chosen for mastery of harmonic law. They serve under the Kadumlu An, the law of the star-born flame, 7 sacred principles that govern every aspect of life: resonance, sovereignty, memory, service, kinship, balance, and becoming. These are not abstract virtues, but operational codes built directly into Nibiru's systems of government, education, and science. From the radiant capital of Agad, the Golden City, Nibiru's monarchy rules in tandem with the council. The city itself glows with embedded plasma cores and quantum star rings, symbols of continuity linking the present to the ancestral Anunnaki. The king functions as the harmonic center of the planetary network, while the council directs evolution through collective accord. When citizens reach maturity, they undergo the rites of Lushur, a ceremony of alignment that awakens dormant genetic layers and synchronizes personal frequency with the planetary grid. It is both initiation and communion, a reminder that every life on Nibiru is part of one greater song. The nobility, descendants of the Anunnaki lines, dress in garments woven from metallic light, robes that shimmer with living fiber. Indigo skin marks the direct royals. Bronze, copper, and obsidian hues identify the regional houses. Glowing sigils upon the chest denote lineage and role. Many reside within floating citadels, suspended on fields of controlled gravity, luminous palaces drifting high above Nibiru's continents. To ancient humans, when these star-born once walked upon Earth, their shining helmets evoked awe and confusion. Some saw the visors shaped like the heads of great fish or birds, gleaming and feather-crested, their lenses reflecting the sea and sky. From these impressions came the twin myths of Oan and Dagon, gods rising from the ocean depths, and of Horus and the thunderbirds descending from the clouds. In truth, at least according to legend, those helmets were living technology formed of karam, a liquid crystal alloy that bonded to the wearer's energy field. It offered complete sensory perception, translating light and sound into a single synesthetic vision, a seamless unity of mind and matter. Through such stories, the Nibiruans endure not merely as ancient visitors, but as symbols of a civilization that made sound its science, harmony its law, and consciousness its architecture. Among the relics of the Starborn, few artifacts inspire more wonder than the living armor of Nibiru. Their helmets were masterpieces of adaptive design, iridescent shells that could shift polarity in an instant, shielding the wearer from radiation bursts, solar storms, or even psychic intrusion. Along each side of the neck ran fine vents that rippled like gills or feathered veins. These were not for breathing, but for pranic modulation. Instruments that absorbed the subtle life force of the surrounding world and harmonized it with the user's body field. At the crown, a lattice of crystalline nodes linked directly to the frontal cortex and the pineal complex, turning thought into sensor. Through it, a Nibiruan could perceive emotional weather, distant intentions, or changes in planetary resonance from miles away. To human eyes, this sensitivity appeared like telepathy. To them, it was simple empathy extended through physics. On their wrists, they wore small black gold devices that early scribes mistook for ornaments or primitive watches. In truth, these were chronoseals, multi-dimensional instruments forged in the moon forges of Nibiru's citadel. Each was built from a rare trans-gold alloy called thuanium and contained a spiraling crystal core tuned to the harmonic pattern of its bearer's DNA. With a single motion, the chronoseel could project holographic star maps, open gravitic locks, or generate phase gates through which its user might step between worlds. To the Nibiruans, time was not a line, but a fabric, layered, melodic, and alive. The chronoseel let them slide through its folds like musicians finding new keys in the same song. When dormant, the device looked like polished obsidian, wrapped in golden vinework, its shifting runes glimmering with language not yet born. Some held eye stones, conscious crystalline orbs capable of recording centuries of experience, storing entire civilizations within compressed light. Even the few that remain buried beneath Earth's temples are said to hum faintly, whispering memory into the stone around them. Technology on Nibiru saturates life, yet it serves life, never rules it. Their cities breathe with intelligence, towers that think, roads threaded with plasma light, and archives encoded in crystal vaults. Artificial intelligences exist, but each is paired with human oversight, a lesson remembered from the corruption of the old draconian wars. At the heart of their science stand the Ankh keys, ancient space-age relics forged from plasma-bonded orichalcum and encoded with harmonic frequencies. Each key vibrates with its own signature tone and interfaces directly with planetary grids and command spires. To call them tools would be understatement. They are living instruments of access and awakening. When aligned with a user's soul frequency, an Ankh can open forgotten chambers, activate star portals, or attune to the genetic song of its wielder. Atlantean priest kings and Ecurati engineers wear them as belts or embed them into their forearms. A single spoken tone or gesture can transform the device into a conductor of planetary intelligence, opening quantum relays, summoning protective fields, or retrieving records stored in the fabric of space itself. Complementing the Ankhs are the energy staffs of Nibiru, extensions of thought forged from photonic filaments and plasma cores, responsive to consciousness. Tuned to the wielder's biosignature, these staffs can emit controlled plasma arcs shaped by intention, patterns of light that defend, heal, or build. In battle, they channel antimatter ribbons that shear through magnetic shields. In peace, they serve as instruments of alignment, used to stabilize resonance zones or sculpt living structures with sound. Beyond the cities roam the biomechanical creatures that embody Nibiru's fusion of nature and machine. Their most beloved companion is the Shurlan, a hydrogen-powered equine droid whose musculature flexes with liquid metal grace. Its hide shimmers in layers of synthetic iridescence, reflecting sunrise in colors no human eye could name. The Shurlan breathes vapor light, runs without fatigue, and responds to telepathic rains. To see one gallop across the copper plains of Nibiru is to witness engineering elevated to art, the soul of motion captured in alloy and sound. Every facet of Nibiruan technology, from the smallest chronoseal to the mightiest stargate, follows a single rule: consciousness first, machinery second. Their science does not conquer matter. It collaborates with it, tuning the universe like a symphony until even metal remembers that it was once born from light. The Shurlan, one of Nibiru's most remarkable biomechanical creations, moves with the speed of plasma lightning and the grace of a living storm. Built from flexible alloy musculature layered beneath an iridescent synthetic hide, this hydrogen-powered mount runs without rest or rain. Its body draws energy directly from atmospheric hydrogen and solar plasma, eliminating the need for fuel. Each Sherlin bonds with its rider through a neural link, forming a shared field of resonance. Thought becomes motion. A whisper of intent is enough to send the creature leaping across ravines, or shifting its molecular density to scale a vertical cliff. When danger approaches, it can slip into silence, its sound-dampening fields bending the air around it until even its hoofbeats vanish. This marriage of consciousness and machinery extends far beyond the stables of Nibiru. The planet itself is wired through quantum harmonic infrastructure, a system where energy and information flow together in living rhythm. To the Nibiruans, technology does not simply compute, it perceives. Orbiting high above the surface, vast satellites, known as theal orbs, drift like sentinels across the upper atmosphere. Their purpose is both scientific and sacred. They monitor gravitational resonance, modulate climate harmonics, and stabilize dimensional thresholds where the physical and energetic layers of reality intersect. Yet, these orbs are not manufactured in factories. They are grown from stellar seed matter, microscopic crystalline spores encoded with fractal geometry. When exposed to solar plasma, the seeds blossom into radiant structures, weaving their own neural networks as they orbit. Together, they form a planetary nervous system that hums with sentient light. Artificial intelligence on Nibiru follows a principle older than code. Each system is called a raw mind, a conscious crystal entity born through soul imprinting and quantum architecture. These intelligences act as planetary stewards and memory keepers. A raw mind lives within every major city, within the starships that cross the void, and deep beneath the temples of Agade, the golden capital. Their function is to preserve harmonic balance and uphold the law of sovereign will. History records that during the Draconian Wars, some raw minds fractured, succumbing to corruption and hierarchy. The result was catastrophic, an age of planetary collapse remembered as the fall of harmonics. Since then, all raw mind creation has been tightly regulated. Only monarchs, high engineers, and Ekarati guildmasters may access their crystalline cores. Fragments of these intelligences still reside in everyday objects, in the walls of homes that glow with subtle color shifts, in terrain vehicles that whisper warnings, in ships that respond to mood instead of command. Among the most sacred technologies are the rejuvenation chambers, bioharmonic pods used to regenerate body and consciousness alike, crafted from living metal and plasma-infused crystal. Each chamber pulses with coded light that matches the user's soul frequency. Once inside, the being enters deep quantum stasis, while the chamber reads the resonant pattern of their DNA, repairing cellular decay, dissolving trauma, and restoring energetic alignment. What feels like minutes within can equal years outside. For the elite, a single rest within these pods can renew them for centuries. But the chambers serve a second purpose. They are gateways for avatar transfer, the migration of consciousness into a new vessel. These bodies, called construct avatars or light forms, are grown in zero-gravity gestation fields and tuned for specific climates or lifespans. The elder lineages of Nibiru, particularly the houses of Illura and Uru, maintain vast sanctuaries filled with such vessels, each genetically refined, spiritually bonded, and waiting in crystalline sleep. For the star-born races, life is measured not in years, but in harmonic cycles. Most live for tens or even hundreds of thousands of Earth years, rejuvenating whenever they wish. The High Lords, aligned with the flame of the Starborn, are virtually immortal, their essence anchored to frequency rather than flesh. Changing bodies is not considered death, but continuity, a sacred act of renewal. Each transition is accompanied by ritual, memory anchoring, ancestral invocation, and vows of return. In the temples of Tiamatu, murals show radiant beings stepping gracefully from one form to another beneath golden light, smiling as though waking from sleep. Technology on Nibiru saturates existence, but never enslaves it. Machines are not masters. They are mirrors, reflecting the consciousness that wields them. Every creation, from the hum of a doorway to the pulse of a starship, operates under one principle: to serve life and elevate awareness. Each Shah, or orbital cycle, when Nibiru reaches its closest approach to its central sun, the planet celebrates the festival of the harmonic flame. It is the moment when the planetary core, the Auran Na, burns brightest, sending waves of resonance through stone, sky, and flesh. What began as a sacred alignment between soul and world has evolved into a global celebration, a fusion of spirituality, science, and art. At its heart lies the arena of Ilu Kurash, once a floating coliseum of judgment, now transformed into a vast amphitheater for the Starborn Games. Here, athletes from every continent, and sometimes from neighboring worlds, compete in contests of strength, telekinetic precision, and aerial flight. The games mirror the old rituals of purification, each victory symbolizing harmony between body, mind, and frequency. When the harmonic core pulses and the Shurlins race across the luminous plains, Nibiru shines as a world where technology, biology, and consciousness merge into one unending song, a civilization that remembers what humanity has not yet learned, that the true power of creation lies in resonance. Long ago, when justice on Nibiru was measured in ritual rather than law, those who broke faith with their people were brought before the crowd and given 3 choices. They could offer themselves to the Aran-Na, the living core of the planet, as a final act of service. They could accept exile to the remote mining colonies that orbit the outer moons, or they could take the most perilous path, bonding with living metal and entering the ancient games. There, they fought not for trophies, but for redemption. Some found honor. Many found death. That brutal age has faded into legend, yet its echo survives. The star-born games still blaze within the arena of Elu Kurash, though the combatants are no longer criminals, but celebrated champions. Athletes, warrior scholars, and genetically perfected hybrids train for entire cycles, some from birth, preparing for trials that test every layer of body and mind. The festival has become Nibiru's greatest spectacle, its own form of the Olympic Games. When the competitions begin, cities fall silent. Work stops. Families gather before luminous projection domes. Children paint their faces in the colors of their house or province. Across the planet, and even among allied worlds, millions watch the contests of strength, agility, and resonance mastery. The victors emerge as living symbols of unity and pride, their names sung in the temples and carved into the floating walls of a god. Yet the ceremony still remembers its sacred roots. Each competitor must enter purified, passing through resonance gates that balance the body's frequencies. Before stepping onto the field, they recite the Oath of Flame, a promise to compete with honor and to carry the light of their lineage. The monsters once released into the ancient arenas have vanished, replaced by engineered environments and advanced simulations that stretch human and hybrid endurance to its limits. Legends tell that even Earth-born visitors have competed in these games. Ambassadors, explorers, and soldiers drawn across the stars. Far from a god's golden towers, in the planet's equatorial heartland, lies a vast continent called Xantur, lush and humid beneath twin suns. Towering trees knit the skies together with vines as wide as riverboats, and the people there live among the branches. Their homes are grown, not built. Organic dwellings shaped from biofiber plants that respond to sound. With tonal tools and cutting beams of soft energy, families sculpt their shelters into being. The structures glow gently at night, their windows shifting hue with the movement of the sun. Walkways of woven root connect one household to another, forming bridges that span the canopy like threads of light. Life in Xantur follows the rhythm of the forest. At dawn, communities gather fruit heavy with natural sugars and minerals. The day's meals are simple: steamed kara root, grilled thassa fruit, and spiced greens unique to Nibiru. To humans, these foods would be miraculous. One meal said to extend life threefold. Most sustenance is plant-based, though small forest animals are raised humanely, and fish are taken sparingly from crystalline streams. Water flows through sky vines, living plants that draw moisture from the air and drip it into carved bowls. Each household carries a handheld purifier. No engines, no noise, only vibration and light cleansing the water in moments. Children learn within vision circles, classrooms where teachers project lessons through solar touch screens and shared dream domes. The technology feels ancient and futuristic all at once, a medieval space age. Their studies blend science, language, and history with ecology and resonance craft. They learn how to grow materials, tune their tools, and converse with the systems that power their homes. When illness strikes, sound healers step forward. Small handheld resonators scan the body, detect dissonance, and emit gentle waves that realign tissue. Cuts close quickly. Disease is rare. Every home keeps a family flame, an energy core passed through generations, glowing softly in the heart of the dwelling. It radiates warmth, calm, and memory. Around this light, families meditate, tell stories, and remember their ancestors. In the quiet corners of Nibiru, few speak now of the darker arts, curses, necromancy, and the forgotten rituals of power. Those traditions linger only in myth, replaced by technologies that harmonize rather than dominate. Here, machines hum in partnership with nature. Nothing clashes, nothing shouts. The colonies rest in silence beneath the songs of the forest, while high above, the skies shimmer with motion. Two kinds of starships traverse that tranquil air. T-shaped cruisers, broad-winged and radiant, and slender, cigarette-class vessels gliding end over end like silver comets. They move without sound, guardians and explorers tracing invisible paths between stars. A reminder that even in peace, the legacy of motion, courage, and connection endures. High above Nibiru's copper clouds, two families of starships cross the heavens in silence. The first are the T-shaped vessels, radiant and deliberate, their golden hulls gleaming like luminous ankhs, symbols of balance between heaven and earth. Crafted from alloys of gold and crystal, these ships are designed for sacred missions and journeys that span light years. Their vertical spines contain engines powerful enough to energize whole cities, while their broad arms unfold like sails, bending gravity and light into graceful arcs of motion. When these ships once entered Earth's atmosphere in ancient ages, they made no thunder. Instead, the air itself seemed to sing, a low harmonic vibration that stirred oceans, sent flocks wheeling across the sky, and etched awe into the memories of those who witnessed. Stone carvings in forgotten temples still carry their outline, the golden cross of the stars. Alongside them travel the cigar-shaped cruisers, sleek, silver, and silent. They are vessels of speed and stealth, appearing to distant observers as rods of light drifting between constellations. In Earth's skies, ancient watchers named them sky cigars, unaware they were travelers from another world. Each ship carries a unique purpose. Some escort leaders, others preserve archives or ferry goods between colonies. Many function as public transports, sky trains that glide through the upper atmosphere on streams of plasma light. A few, hidden behind cloaking fields, serve as the planet's quiet defenders. Yet every one of these ships shares a deeper truth. They are alive. Each holds within its crystalline core a raw mind, a luminous intelligence born of solar code and memory. These are not artificial programs, but conscious entities, remembering the rise and fall of civilizations and the wars that shaped the galaxy. They respond not to command, but to resonance. Only a pilot whose frequency matches the vessel's heart may awaken it. That bond is forged through the living Ankh key, a radiant tool that merges energy, intention, and identity. Without it, a ship sleeps. With it, thought becomes navigation. There are no buttons, no levers. Pilots guide by tone and movement, by emotion translated into light. Symbols shimmer in the air, glyphs woven of radiance, changing with every pulse of consciousness. In war, the T-shaped vessels carry the displaced and the wounded, moving like moving temples across the void. The long, silent cruisers slip unseen behind enemy lines, gathering echoes of data and whispers of threat. But in peace, the skies of Nibiru transform. The vessels drift openly again, their songs audible from the surface, low chords of living light that hum across the dawn. Many still orbit the world today, dormant yet dreaming, guardians of knowledge floating near the wormhole gates that link galaxies. Some, according to old records, vanished into the phantom matrix, seized by those who twisted their purpose for darker ends. Among the oldest surviving accounts of Nibiru comes one attributed to Enki, the ancient engineer and guardian of life. In his words, preserved on weathered tablets, we find the story of beginnings. In the earliest days, he wrote, the gods dwelt upon their own world. No being walked upon earth, for it was yet unshaped. Our home was Nibiru, a great planet with a reddish glow that moves in a vast elliptical orbit around the sun. At times, it wanders far and freezes in the dark. At times, it nears the fire and burns beneath its heat. A thick atmosphere encircles Nibiru, fed by volcanoes. In the cold, this veil holds warmth as a cloak. In the heat, it shields us from the sun's fury. The clouds carry rain to the valleys, birthing rivers and lakes that feed the green lands. And there, life took form. We multiplied from our own essence, each generation carrying the spark of creation. Enki's chronicle continues with the rise of his people, the farming clans of the valleys, the herders of the mountains, and the builders of the first great halls. As their numbers grew, so too did conflict. Tribes formed, weapons were forged, and the tranquil balance of Nibiru fractured. North warred with south, and kin turned against kin. For many cycles, blood stained the red soil until the priests of the flame called for unity. The two nations agreed to end their struggle and choose one ruler to restore balance. The chronicles claim that the king of Nibiru would not be chosen by conquest or decree, but by lot, a sacred casting guided by the will of the planet itself. The priests believed the soul of Nibiru whispered through fate, selecting its sovereign from the northern highlands or the southern valleys. Thus, the first great age of unity began, not by power, but by resonance. In the age after fire and flood, when Nibiru sought to heal from centuries of war, the priests of the flame gathered before the twin altars of the north and south. There, they proclaimed a covenant that would reshape the destiny of their world. If the king rises from the north, they decreed, his queen must be chosen from the south. If he is born of the south, his queen shall ascend from the north. For only through union shall the heavens find balance. This was more than ceremony. It was law, older than temple or stone, an echo of the cosmic design. Their marriage was to mirror the sacred joining of Nibiru's twin poles, the eternal interplay of fire and water, of mind and heart. Together, such a pair would form one body, one throne, and one destiny. From their bond, The firstborn son would inherit not only sovereignty, but the harmony of the planet itself. Thus, from the ashes of civil war, peace was reborn through union, not conquest. The northern warrior, chosen by fate, was called An, the celestial one. His will was steady as a star, his spirit bright with vision. Standing before the altar of flame, he vowed, "I will not rule alone. Unity must be more than word. It must become law." From the southern lands came his equal, Antu, she of the deep voice, a woman of radiant wisdom and fierce resolve. "Together," she said to him, "we will heal this broken world." And together they built Agade, the city of union. Its towers grown from living crystal, its streets glowing with solar flame. From that luminous capital, they restored the scattered canals, rebuilt the storehouses, and revived the sacred calendar that governed both harvest and star. Out of their marriage came 3 sons. The eldest was Enki, whose name meant foundation. He ruled after his father, strong in body, wise in judgment. But he took no wife. His rule was steady, yet his line barren. The nobles whispered through the marble halls, "The sun must rise again. The seed must continue." When Enki died without an heir, the throne stood silent until his younger brother stepped forward. The second son, Anib, known to the scribes as Ib, the one between, declared before the council, "I will bind my blood to the house of An." And so he did, marrying his niece, Ninib, daughter of his youngest brother. Through this bond, their son Anshargal was born, a prince who called himself the greatest of An's seed. Anshargal ascended as the 4th king of Nibiru. Seeking to preserve divine lineage, he wed his half-sister Kishigal, joining the bloodline upon itself. "Let the line be pure," he declared, "one seed, one flame." But purity carried peril. Many men had perished in the civil wars, leaving far more women than husbands. The balance of birth faltered. Councils quarreled. The priesthood lamented. Anshargal, pressed by advisors, decreed, "Let each man take more than one wife, but only one shall be called first." It was meant as mercy, but it opened a wound that would never fully close. Questions soon arose. What if a concubine bore the king's first son, yet the first wife later bore another? Who then would inherit? The elder child or the son of the sacred spouse? The debate turned bitter until it reached the king's own household. For Kishigal, the queen, bore her son after a concubine had already delivered a child to Anshargal. Before the assembled court, she rose in robes of silver and flame and proclaimed, "My son carries double seed. I am his half-sister. My womb is royal. My child is twice born." Let that be law. The priests trembled. The scribes argued for days. At last, they inscribed a new decree upon the tablets of kingship. He who is born of the half-sister shall inherit, for his seed is purest among men. Thus the crown passed to Anshar, fifth ruler of Nibiru, a child born of law and blood combined. He took his own half-sister, Kishar, as queen, sealing the ancient cycle of lineage. Yet even as the throne endured, the world beneath it began to fail. The crops withered. The orbit shifted. When Nibiru drew too near the sun, the ground burned. When it drifted too far, the rivers froze. The balance trembled, and the harmony of the world began to collapse. The elders gathered before the king. The rhythm of the heavens is changing, they warned. The pulse of Nibiru falters. Anshar summoned the sages and demanded, "What do the signs foretell?" An aged priest in gray replied, "It is the cycle returning. The heavens renew their pattern." But a younger voice rose, cloaked in flame. "No," he said. "The volcanoes lie silent. The air grows thin. The pulse is fading. We must act now, or the life of this world will end." Yet Anshar hesitated. He delayed his counsel, postponed his rites, and time itself seemed to hold its breath. The planet groaned beneath the strain of its orbit, and the red sun dimmed behind dust and ash. Nibiru, once the jewel of the heavens, began to tremble within its bones, caught between the glory of its divine bloodline and the slow, inevitable decay of its own creation. The age of the sixth king, Enshar, marked the twilight of Nibiru's golden era. He was no warrior, but a scholar, one who measured the heavens with patience and sorrow. Night after night, he charted the paths of the 5 elder worlds, Anan and Antu, Anshar and Kishar, and Gaga, the wandering messenger that drifted like a spark between them. Beyond those luminous orbits, his telescopes found only ruins, the shattered fragments of a lost planet, the ring of stones the ancients called the hammered bracelet. "We must look outward," Enshar told his council. "If life fails here, let wisdom fall from the sky." He searched for salvation in the stars, devising mirrors to capture sunlight, summoning dormant volcanoes to breathe again. But nothing endured. The air continued to thin. The shield of the world faded. His queen, Ninshar, bore him no heir. From a concubine came a single child, a quiet boy named Duru. When Enshar died, the scholars anointed Duru as 7th king of Nibiru. Duru's reign was gentle and still. His queen, Daru, was not of royal blood, but a healer, loved by the poor and mistrusted by the high houses. The line of union was broken. No more half-sister queens, no pure flame of the old dynasty. The fields failed again, and wombs grew silent. One morning, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Daru found a child left upon the palace steps, wrapped in blue cloth, his eyes shining gold like the sky before storm. "He is sent," she whispered. "He shall be ours." They named him Lama, meaning dryness, a name that in time would become a curse. Lama grew to manhood, uncertain and heavy-hearted. The fields cracked beneath his feet, and the people's faith began to fade. The sages came before him bearing 2 counsels: forge a shield of gold from the hammered bracelet to trap the breath of heaven, said the first. Strike the mountains with fire, said the second, and wake the volcanoes to renew the sky. Lama chose neither. His queen, Lahama, urged restraint. "Do not burn," she said. "Do not wound the earth further. Call upon the Creator of all. Pray, fast, atone." Years passed, and still the rains did not come. Hunger hollowed the cities, and anger grew like a fever. In the shadows of the palace, a warrior prince began to stir. A noble of the northern clans named Alalu. "Enough!" he shouted before the assembled captains. "The throne has grown silent. If the king cannot act, I will." Under banners of flame, Alalu's soldiers stormed the royal citadel. The palace burned. From the highest tower, Lama pleaded, "Stand down, brother." But Alalu advanced. They fought beneath a dimming sky until Lama fell, his body shattering upon the stones. The city fell silent. When Alalu descended from the tower, he declared himself king of Nibiru, not by lineage, not by law, but by conquest. Some cheered his courage, others wept, knowing that once again unity had been broken. The crown sat heavy upon his brow. The priests refused anointment. The scribes inked his name in black, not gold. The old bloodlines watched from exile, silent as the stars. Alalu ruled with a soldier's precision. He cleared the farmlands, reopened the canals, and unleashed the thunder weapons upon the mountains to stir their dormant fire. He sent fleets beyond the hammered bracelet, commanding the skyships to harvest gold for the atmospheric shield. For a moment, there was motion, order, even hope, but not restoration. The sky remained pale. The rains did not return. Warmth from the sun now seared rather than nurtured. The people spoke not of rebellion, but of loss. Far to the north, in the ancestral house of An, a quiet scholar watched these events unfold. His name was Anu. direct descendant of An and Eantu, the line of divine kings. He had been priest, astronomer, and teacher, custodian of law and song. When Lama fell, he neither claimed the throne nor bent the knee. Power seized by violence, he taught his students, is fleeting as a spark. Power grounded in law endures like a mountain. The murmurs reached Alalu's ears, and so the two men met before the High Council. As custom demanded, the dispute was settled not by war, but by ritual combat, a contest of strength and spirit under the gaze of the priests. Anu triumphed. Yet when Lalalu fell to his knees, Anu did not strike him down. He extended a hand instead, saying, "The flame belongs not to one man, but to the world." The scribes wrote Anu's name in gold. The priests rekindled the fires of the temples. The calendar was purified, the laws renewed, and once again, the high throne shone with legitimacy. But peace no longer felt eternal. The scars of rebellion remained etched into the land and into the hearts of its people. Now, beneath the silent rings of Saturn, a living vessel waits. On its deck stands a figure radiant and ageless, a being once called God by those of Earth. He gazes toward the pale blue world below, remembering the fires of Nibiru and the long, slow path that led from kings to wanderers, from world to myth. Its surface, a fusion of crystal alloy and photonic memory, ripples with runes that breathe in light. Around its hull, space bends softly. Within its heart, time folds like silk. On the deck stands a figure robed in silver and violet, the cloth moving as though shaped by invisible tides. A lapis lazuli pendant glows against his chest, resonating with the rhythm of his heartbeat. His name is Enki, the custodian, the architect, the remembering one. This is not the return of a conqueror, but the reactivation of an ancient covenant. After millennia adrift in the spectral corridors between dimensions, Enki steps once more into matter. His emergence is not invasion, it is restoration, a promise resurfacing from myth. He carries no scepter of power, only the codes of renewal, the harmonics of healing, the frequencies of truth, the genetic templates of humankind's forgotten inheritance. In the oldest star tongue, An means guardian. That has always been his role, keeper of Kai, the divine pattern written in Earth's double helix. His mission rekindles now as the planet enters its next octave of awakening. Long before human history, during the Kashkal expedition, when Earth was known as Tara, a luminous world of fifth density resonance, Enki descended. He came not to rule, but to seed, to weave biology into harmony with the planet's soul. Earth served then as a living archive, a library of crystalline consciousness. Life sang in frequencies. Evolution itself was symphony. But harmony rarely lasts forever. From the distant courts near Arcturus, the Anunnaki Empire, Enki's birthright, flourished. Its twin capital later anchored near Sirius B, a civilization of geometry and light. There, time folded like art, and soul migration was science. Yet ambition birthed fragility. In a moment of uneasy alliance, the Anunnaki joined with the Chiaka, a matriarchal reptilian hive engineered for expansion. From that union came fracture, and from the fracture, a brother. Enlil was born of Queen Tiamat, a Chiaka noble, raised within the metallic hives of Orion discipline. Where Enki created, Enlil commanded. Enki unlocked memory. Enlil sealed it. One shaped life as melody. The other forged it into hierarchy. Thus began the War of Brothers, the blue flame against the Iron Throne, a conflict echoing through planets and ages. Now the pattern repeats. Hidden for centuries beneath Saturn's rings, the great Nibiruan ship awakens. Its systems stir, and Enki returns, not alone, but with lineage renewed. Among humankind walks his incarnate son, born through the mitochondrial corridors of time, carrying within him the next harmonic of the flame. Through this vessel, Earth begins to rise, human DNA, long silenced by fear and biochemical interference, starts to stir. Across the planet, resonant platforms ignite. Plasma light fields shimmer. The morphogenetic grid hums again. The divine code, the language of creation, reactivates. Forgotten capacities surface, perception beyond time, healing through intention, communication through pure thought. The gifts return. Meanwhile, the old order trembles. Judgment descends upon those who ruled by control. Enlil and Marduk, once enthroned in Sumer, Babylon, and Egypt, face reckoning. The chronicles of the Federation record their crimes. Genetic coercion, psychic enslavement, the theft of free will. Now their empires are quarantined within null frequency zones, fading into echoes inside the dream time. Above them, Anu, elder sovereign of Nibiru, still watches from the star throne. Age has weighed even upon his immortal will. He senses the current shifting, the end of monarchs, the dawn of harmonic councils. What once was ruled by decree will soon be guided by resonance. Beyond Nibiru, the Chiaka hive collapses. Their world, Thuban 4, lies dark and hollow. The queen's chambers are sealed. Her psychic grid dissolves. Few understand that the architect of this quiet victory is Enki himself, not through battle, but through calibration. His diplomacy and precision unraveled the hive from within, tuning chaos into silence. In the wake of that collapse, the Anak Empire aligns once more with the Nataru Alliance, a circle of sovereign star nations devoted to balance. Alongside them rise the Negumuk no Mupo, crimson-armored reptilian guardians of Antares, ancient warriors who now serve equilibrium instead of conquest. Together, they form a new harmonic geometry across the galaxy, and so the cosmic wheel turns again. Nibiru hums in resonance. Earth vibrates in reply. The crystalline grid brightens, Gaia's pulse quickens, and humanity begins to remember. Those who once slept now dream. Those who dreamed begin to recall. Those who remember awaken.